Episode 40: Social Credit and the Free Market. We are often told by libertarians, members of the Austrian school, and others that a total liberalization of the market model is the solution to our economic problems. But what if that isn't true? According to the social credit analysis of Major C.H. Douglas, not to be confused with Chinese social credit, the free market is merely a tool which, like any other tool, has to be evaluated in terms of its usefulness in facilitating true economic functionality. It is a means to an end, not an end in itself. In response to free market fanaticism, a number of observations must be made. Firstly, the free market mechanism does not function in modern economies the way it is supposed to according to neoclassical theory. There is no constant haggling between producers and consumers so that prices are changing constantly in response to shifts in supply and demand, nor does this always happen within the wholesale markets. There is a certain amount of planning, even central planning, that occurs because of the nature of industrial production. That planning may be in private hands, but it is still planning. One good reason for this planning is that producers must cover all of their costs, including loan repayments, to remain in business, and this forms the lower limit of price. Contrary to theory, prices are not infinitely flexible. They are relatively inflexible on the lower end because costs need to be covered. Secondly, not all free markets, insofar as the market mechanism is actually in play, are equally functional. The only type of free market that delivers the benefits which we associate with free markets generally, physical efficiency, capitalist justice, or a dollar paid for a dollar's worth, and consumer choice, is the perfectly competitive market. Monopolies and oligopolies undercut these benefits, and yet the majority of our contemporary markets are imperfectly competitive. Thirdly, the extreme free market ideal that is defended by many on the conventional right, often championed under the name of laissez-faire capitalism and anarcho-capitalism, does not exist anywhere, and there is a good reason for this. It simply doesn't work. All markets presuppose, as a condition of stability and long-term functionality, institutions and laws, as well as various government goods and services, and hence also taxes and/or other sources of government revenue. There are no absolutely free markets, only relatively free markets. Even stock markets have circuit breakers. Fourth and finally, free markets are not a sufficient condition for economic functionality, because such functionality depends largely on an adequate flow of credit. This includes both producer credit to fully actualize a society's useful productive capacity or its real credit, and consumer credit in the form of income to fully distribute the flow of consumer production and to finally liquidate all the various costs of production. Under the existing financial system, producer and consumer credit are artificially restricted or kept scarce relative to the physical realities of the production system. The capacity of the physical economy to deliver the goods and services which people need to survive and flourish with the least amount of labor and resource consumption is thereby artificially restrained by the financial system, the presence of free markets notwithstanding. Let there be no misunderstandings. Douglas' social credit, while being firmly in favor of private property, the profit motive, and an economy driven by consumer demand via the market mechanism, and altogether opposed, therefore, to socialist measures of economic management involving the endless growth of taxation, regulation, and bureaucracy, nevertheless recognizes there is a role for the public authority in regulating the financial system and the market. This is not to be done arbitrarily, but rather in line with reality and the natural law. Without monetary reform, all economic mechanisms that rely on money, including the market mechanism, function far below their potential. So why do many free market ideologues insist, often in complete indifference to questions of functionality, on the free market Shangri-La? Something no one has ever seen outside of Somalia as the economic ideal. It seems to be a bait and switch. They use the bait of the various advantages that a market economy, under conditions of perfect competition, can offer vis-à-vis a command system in order to defend, in the name of freedom, many of the worst, most indefensible aspects of the existing economic order. What these ideologues really want to maintain and expand are the existing monopoly and oligopoly markets, including the monopoly of credit above all, markets which are so lucrative either for them personally or for their backers. They want to disguise the freedom to exploit and to dominate as the freedom to exchange without external interference. The free market rhetoric is merely meant as a device to deceive the naive, the gullible, and the uninformed into succumbing to this ploy. This animated series was sponsored by the Clifford Hugh Douglas Institute for the Study and the Promotion of Social Credit. For more information on Douglas Social Credit, please visit socred.org or thepeoplescredit.com.au. Be sure to like this video and please subscribe to our channel.